So how do you manage your phone?
It rings, I pick it up. If it texts, I try to get back to it. I don't have the real estate calls coming to me now because the property manager takes that. But yet I'm on the phone with her usually once a week on Tuesday
One
mornings.
phone.
Yeah, one phone. Yeah, just one phone.
Okay. And so, how's your company structured?
The real estate company, it's in three LLCs. Started out as one, and just for liability uh, protection, we did second company, and the third company by far and away the largest. So perhaps we need to do that again. But there's three companies there.
Do you keep certain assets in certain companies?
Just whatever cash they generate, it kind of stays in that company.
I'm saying, does one company do houses, another apartments, another commercial?
No. It's a mixture of both.
Our accountant gave us the advice 5 years ago to start. So Freeman Brothers Properties is our main company. It's our workhorse. It has our apartments, houses. Accountant told us to do Freeman Brothers Properties too for the commercial stuff. I didn't know why that made sense, and it did make sense at the time. But I took our accountant's advice. We started a whole company. All it did was cause us double the work when
Yeah,
it came tax time.
yeah, yeah.
I could see if it's truly
This was your accountant telling you this.
He wasn't
He charged you for two different returns, right? So that's kind of what I'm facing now. I'm getting charged for three different returns and financial statements and all that kind of thing. I'm thinking, gee, maybe I should just put all this in one pot.
My dad's 15 years older than you, and he's probably 15 years down the road from where you will be. Hopefully, he's done really well. But he said the exact same thing to me about 8 years ago, right when we first started. He's like, I just feel like I'm paying extra tax returns. Why can't I just put them all in one company? They all make the money the same way. I give them space. They pay me rent. It's not like it's a whole different business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's value in that. I don't know if there's wisdom in that or not.
Well, you're the attorney. I mean, we only do it for liability protection, so I don't know if that works or not. There's some kind of about a corporate shield, right? Of which I've never been.
No, I'm just saying, like having three separate entities.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As long as you've got an LLC and you've got everything in the LLC, you're protected. You get the tax deductions, you get the depreciation on taxes. The accountants wanted it. It wasn't from a lawyer standpoint. It makes zero difference if you have three companies or one.
Yeah,
if it's the same business,
right.
I don't know, but I've heard it from. I've never heard it from another attorney, but also we don't use that accountant.
Okay.
The new accountant we have is Mar Miller Meyer here in Corbin, and a guy named Eric Jones. He the only new company he wanted us to start was an S corp for our flips, and because short-term capital gains tax and some other benefits. There's some benefits with the S corp with the short-term capital gain. So the difference is, if we ran the flip through our LLC, tax as a partnership, it would be taxed at the most, 36, 37%, whatever we're taxed at normally. Through an S corp, it'd be taxed like 12%.
Yeah,
huge value.
I don't know how much you've been in the podcast with respect to taxes, but the tax advantages of real estate are just out of sight. Like, I never fully understood it till I started really going through some of my returns in the latter stages of 4, 5, 6 years ago, and looked at the depreciation expense. Right?
Yeah, talk about
that. So that's so money.
So talk about that, because
that's unreal, man.
Because I'll clip it.
Yeah,
and it'll be just a great clip, because it's such an educational point that no one knows anything about.
Yeah, so depreciation expense is an expense that ain't an expense, right? And so you get to count it as an expense on your return, but that's money that still came to you. And so it's just awesome. Of course, that builds. The government's going to have its day at the end of the day when you sell, unless you 1031 exchange it. But that's something that helps out immensely on cash flow and profitability.
So you told me of a way to actually accelerate depreciation a few years ago.
Yeah, if you're buying something a substantial amount, let's just say it's $1 million threshold there, you really want to consider looking into doing a cost segregation study.
And what is that?
Which they break out the property. They say, okay, the sidewalk costs this much, the electrical components of the building, the plumbing components of the building, the carpet. They really break it down to a granular level. And then they classify the asset into different asset categories, like a 7-year life, 15-year life, maybe 25-year life, what have you. And so they try to front load, maybe it's back load, I don't know, but they work it out in such that you can take a heck of a lot of depreciation early on. So I guess they front load the depreciation, okay? And so that increases your expense, right? It increases your expense. So you don't pay as much tax, essentially. It's just a tax strategy that people doing property on a grand scale really take advantage of.
And how much does a study like that cost?
I think I maybe paid $1,000, $1,500 for like an eightplex building I did a while back. So it's not terrible.
Worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd never heard of anyone doing that before. How did you learn about that strategy?
My accountant. Yeah,
Who
you
is
should have been
your-
using my accountant.
Who is your accountant?
I use Green and McCowan out of London.
London?
Yeah,
I don't know
Green
those
and
guys.
McCowan.
How long you been with them?
I've been with them for 10 plus years. Yeah, started out with 2 or 3 people. Actually, my dad. My dad was a CPA. Started out with him, and my finances got a little bit complex, and he was near the end of his career. And it's like, you probably just need to find somebody else.
Your poor dad.
So, and he wasn't cheap either. He didn't give me no family discount there. But
Did you find that you well, I don't know. Did you have any kind of business background before?
not at all. No. I've always kind of been a numbers guy, but no formal business training, nothing like that.
Well, I felt like I backed into an MBA by starting a business.
Yeah.
Without doing the MBA up front, all of a sudden you're scrambling to learn lessons that they learned in MBA 101.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
School of Hard Knocks, right?
Well, I think that those MBAs anyway, I mean, they might know, they've probably been exposed to the ideas, but you don't, just like anything, you learn by practicing.
Yeah.
Some of those guys might start companies, but a lot of those guys are just hired by companies like us and, just saying, all right, well, build, make it grow, make me more money. Have you?
They're learning with somebody else's money, though. Yeah, right.
Yeah, of course. So do you have any kind of succession plan right now?
Just the kids. I think are going to take it. I'm not of the mindset of selling. I think if you got something good, you just hold on to it. We've got things in trust. We've not talked about how we're going to, what kids will get what and when they'll get it. But,
so you haven't made those decisions
I'm not
yet?
sure if the kids will actually want to be managing anything. I don't think they will be, but they'll be owners of it.
Do you have any kids that are showing an aptitude for this type of work?
Yeah, but my kids are strong in science and math, and so I could definitely see them being able to handle. They're already doing things a little bit with accounting and such as well, cutting checks.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I already have them involved. We go up and it's a family affair. We're going to go up there and rake some leaves sometimes. They're not going to be spoiled.
So, have you slowly introduced them to real estate from a young age?
Yeah. So I've got them taking a look at handling the books actually in some respects. Here's how we cut a check. This is what we do. This is how, because we're using Appfolio software, and so I want them to learn that and know how to use it.
So my dad did that as well, and I appreciate it. He normalized, we're going to Daddy's apartment complex.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, he lives in Louisville. He just bought his first investment house at age 36. You got to start sometime.
Yeah.
And he's going through the whole process. He first time ever going through a bank on the commercial side. First time, dealing with 20% down payment. He bought personal houses, put the, whatever, 3% down, what are you going to do? But in his first time, he lets us manage it, but he went through the stresses of, okay, we got to get remodeled, we got to list it, we got to get tenants, and first time ever having a tenant, all the stresses that are involved with that. But his biggest thing is it was not normal for him. He felt like it was somebody else that could do this. It was people that are smarter than him. It was someone different. It's like a different species of human.
Yeah.
Because it was never normalized for him.
Yeah, I mean, the first time it's a lot, right? It can be overwhelming. But once you get your feet wet and you just learn, right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make those mistakes.
But were you raised around real estate?
No, my parents didn't have any real estate.
Did you just kind of look up and say, I think real estate makes a lot of sense, I'm going to get involved?
I got almost like married to it, right? I was managing myself, and I didn't start off managing myself. Those eightplex buildings that we bought, the guys one of them had a property management firm, and they said, hey, we need to manage this for you. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing, so you manage it. So guess who got fed first, right? His apartments got filled first, and guess who made the money off the fees? He did. And so they weren't performing to my satisfaction. I said, I got to find somebody else. So I went with somebody else. They didn't work out. And so I fired him. I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. And they said, what are you going to do? You're down in London. How are you going to manage this stuff? Like, I don't know. I'm going to make it work. And I did. And it's like, really, to manage property, you need to know who to call, and you got to have money to pay them. And as long as you got those two things and you treat folks right, it's doable.
Yeah, but you don't slip and fall into real estate. How did you just say, I want to buy something, put a renter in it?
What was that Lexington Young Professional Association, the contacts I made with those guys when we bought the eightplexes, and
well, they held your hand through the first deal?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And it was a learning experience because as soon as I bought it, the seller had stacked the apartment building with kind of fake leases. And so we had like a quarter of the building run off. Then the next month I had a refrigerator stolen. And I was sweating bullets. I mean, I had debt. I had mortgage payments to make. And how am I going to make these? It was pretty tight there for several months up to a year. And once things stabilize, then I think, all right, I made it through this. I can make it through almost anything. Let's go for more. So we built a couple ball houses up there. Did that. Those were my next two things. So we need to be, you want to be diversified not on your assets with stocks and bonds and real estate. Even within real estate, you want to be a little bit diversified, right? So we got the cash flow from the apartments, but then the appreciation for the houses. And so that was a thought process going into buying the houses. And then so I did several more houses after that. Didn't pick up any more apartments because apartments they're more expensive to buy, right? So you can buy a house a lot easier than you can an apartment building. And so once I did enough houses, then I transitioned back to apartments.
Would you ever invest with someone else's money?
Would I invest somebody else's money? Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I think people could probably trust my judgment. I know a guy in Lexington doing that right now. He's been real successful. He knows people who just don't have the inclination or the want to handle real estate, but yet they want to be in it. So that's definitely an angle you could take in real estate. There's so many facets of real estate you can get in and make money.
Blake and I just started investing other people's money.
Yeah.
We're at that age now where we have friends that they're maturing in their career and have some money laying around.
Yeah.
And like you said, want to get into real estate, but not really sure how, and they maybe, want someone to hold their hand. So we have several people who've given us, $25,000-$50,000, and we've gone out and bought duplexes with them and houses, and partnered up with them.
That's great.
And the benefit to us is it's more property. It's a partner, but they're silent. But they get to learn. We do all the work, and they can be as involved as they want.
Mm-hmm.
But we manage it.
Yeah.
So it feeds our management company as well.
Right.
So, and that management company is something that's going to be growing, I think, a lot in 2024.
There's always a need for good management because I can't tell you how many properties I see that are just poorly managed.
And it makes everyone look bad.
It does, yeah. Management is key. I mean, you're not managing. I told when I hired my property manager, one of the questions I asked her is, do you think it's more about managing property or more managed people? She might have not been asked that before, but you're managing people. I mean, you're not really managing. Anybody can change an air filter. Anybody can, get the carpets clean. But how do you manage people? And that's important. And so much of today I've seen, and maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I'm 50 years old, but I see a lot now of communication going on through written means, right? Through text, through email, and you just can't get a read on somebody, where they're coming from, without talking to them. So I've seen multiple exchanges in writing go through them, like, just call a person, call them, see where they're at, and settle them down that way. And that's how you manage people, right? It's not all the time. Sometimes, text are best. But sometimes just pick up the phone, talk to people.
With renters?
With renters,
we
renters.
do not do that.
Yeah.
We don't. We don't accept the phone calls even.
Really?
Everything's in writing.
Yeah.
It's not, we refuse to let anything devolve into he said, she said, especially if we're evicting somebody or if we're going to sue somebody.
See, I don't want anything in writing. If somebody's on the way out, I don't want things in writing.
I don't see a downside to having it in writing, but I support whatever works for you. So I'm sure you do this already, but one of my biggest pieces of advice to business owners at my age, especially when you're younger, you can maybe approach things from a little bit more of an emotional angle than you should, is remember that every text is going to be an exhibit used against you at trial one day. Every phone call is going to be recorded, and it's going to be used as an exhibit in trial against you one day. So Blake and I preach that with our managers as well. Just everything's in writing, no phone calls, and remember this might be put up in front of a jury against you one day. So be respectful.
Yeah.
And we don't have any problem with that. We've got world-class managers. We've been very lucky, but we don't do anything over the phone. Zero.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's our style.
Yeah.
But also you can't scale it with your strategy.
Yeah. There's only so many minutes of the day, right, to talk to people. So.
When was the last time you had to talk to a tenant?
I don't do that much anymore. I leave that up to. I don't want to get involved to that detail. If I'm paying a property manager to do a job, that's her job.
What are your property manager's duties?
She does all leasing and management and maintenance oversight.
She's answering the phones.
She's answering the phones too. Yeah.
So what do you have for rent? Do you allow pets? Do you accept HUD? She's answering those questions all day?
For the most part. But most of the time when she's responding, it's through email, and it's a lot of copy and paste because we've got standard templates that we use, basically. But sometimes, I want her to get on the phone, and she's done a great job. Once she gets on the phone with people, she's got a great way of settling anything down and taking care of a problem. She's built a lot of respect from the residents and their parents, too. So.
How'd you find her?
I found her just hitting the ground. So much of real estate is hitting the ground. So we had a property manager wasn't performing well, had to let her go. I was like, well, I got to do something, right? I've got so much property I can't
Was
manage.
that 4 or 5 years ago?
No, that was probably, well, yeah, it was about three or four.
We were sitting at Yamato's, and I remember you talking about your
Yeah.
manager, and she wasn't hacking it.
Yeah. So what I did is I went to all the apartment communities in Lexington, the big ones, and I said, hey, I presented the card. I went in there and talked to the property manager. I said, now is not the appropriate time to talk. I know you got a business to run here, but after hours, give me a call, and I can make your life a lot easier and probably put a little bit more money in your pocket. And had just a handful of people call me back, not many, because they probably thought I was full of it.
I thought,
and she did,
inundated.
and I hired her away from the Racket Club off of Man of War, Tates Creek area out of Lexington, which is a humongous complex. It's a $100 million plus apartment community, top of the line up there. And got her away.
Does she have her license?
She does not. No, I told her she needs to get that, and you don't have to if you're managing it for an individual like me, because I'm her direct employer. If she was not an employee, she would obviously have to have a real estate license.
There's no downside.
Yeah.
It is work. The downside's
taking the test.
Chess is no joke.
Yeah, a lot of studying for it.
Well, you probably have a mastery of 50% of it or more, because literally you're tested on 8 topics. One of them is finance.
Yeah.
But literally dealing with banks, and it's one of the heaviest tested ones because, well, it's one of the 8 tested. So, and then another one's property management, and then another one is related to property management. So and then the rest is just buying and selling.
Yeah, I took the test. I studied for it up in Louisville, did the APAS-Weichel thing. And I did that early in my career. So when I bought a house, I didn't want to pay the commission, right? So I was able to get half the commission back. So
do you keep your license up?
No, I didn't. I let it lapse a long time ago. There was no reason for it. So.
In '87, my grandpa made my dad take it made my dad get it because it was the last year you didn't have to take a test.
Oh, nice.
And you'd be grandfathered in.
Yeah.
He didn't keep it up, but
yeah.
It made sense to get it. It makes sense for us, but we're attacking it from the sales side angle, which you've never. Have you ever been attracted to that?
No, it's just not something I wanted.
Well, us either. I kind of got drugged kicking and screaming into realty because people kept asking us to manage their stuff. But as you know, you can't manage other people's property without a license.
Yeah.
So I took my test, passed it, partnered up with a broker locally, Kyle French. I don't know if you know. There's no reason why you would know him. He's here in Corbin, but worked for him 2 years. Told him right off the bat, I'm going to work for you for 2 years, and then I'm going to take my broker's test, and I'm going to start a company. We're not going to compete with you because we're going to do property management. And even when we worked for Kyle, we started doing property management. Kyle was happy. He got 10% of all of our fees, basically just because he has a broker's license.
It's a good license to have.
It is a good license to have. And then we started Freeman Brothers Realty because I was ready to not pay Kyle his 10% anymore, and that was always our plan anyway. And then as soon as we were getting ready to start Freeman Brothers Realty, one of my dad's business partners owns a bunch of land that he buys tax bills. And every once in a while,
I looked at that once. Yeah.
What did you think about it?
There's a few out there that look pretty good. Most of it's junk, but there was a few out there that looked pretty enticing. But I just didn't want to get involved and learn that. I was too lazy at that point to learn the system. And
lazy is probably not the right word. You probably had too many irons in the fire. Yeah. But he would buy the tax bills, and the goal was to collect on the tax bills. Mark it up $300, send a letter to the person that owes the property tax, and they pay you, and you make your little $300. And then if you buy 100 of those, you make $30,000.
Yeah.
And that's his business. But unfortunately, every once in a while, you have to foreclose.
Yeah. That's what I want to have to deal with.
And he has to deal with that. And so he's like, I've got all this property, I don't know how to sell it because it's just junk. And I was like, well, we will sell it. So I developed a structure. I hired 3 agents, and we started selling it for him.
Nice.
And so that kind of forced us into sales. I felt bad because some of the local brokers kind of felt like we'd made some promises early on. We're starting a sales company, but we're not going to compete against you guys. We had some mentors in the area too, and they still are. But some of them were like scratching their heads, like, I thought you weren't going to do sales. I was like, things change. I'm sorry.
Things evolve. You can't predict the future.
And I imagine I could be an intimidating competitor because I'm a lawyer and a broker, so I can handle any complexity of any deal. I can go to court if I have to. No broker can go to court and fix a deed or do whatever you need to do to get the deal going through.
Right, right.
And so that's a pretty powerful tool I have that I've used a lot. I've had to solve some really complicated real estate deals to make them go through. There's some problems. So I could see why I wouldn't be an attractive competitor to have in the area, but I don't know.
You're going to have to deal with it, right?
Well, but anyway, that's kind of how we got into realty. I never thought I'd see myself in sales. I don't think I'm a natural salesman. I had to develop those skills. It's a muscle like anything else. So you have to flex your sales muscle a little bit with your practice. But
everything's a sales job, though. I mean, hey, rent from me. Well, I don't need to rent from you. You got to sell yourself and sell your property, right?
One thing that I've realized in business is that everything is sales.
Mm-hmm.
You're attracting the customer to spend money with your service or your product, and that's just not the way I used to look at the world until the last few years.
Yeah,
I know it's not going to switch it flip. So, all right. Well, we're on in we're almost an hour.
Sit here and talk all day.
Is there
love talking real estate?
Yeah, we I certainly would like to do this again.
Sure.
There's a lot of benefits to this. It's fun to talk this stuff out, but you'll also have this on YouTube forever. And your kids can watch it and be like, look how smart Dad was.
Yeah, riveting conversation.
Look how young.
Riveting.
You like I could literally talk to a 50-year-old Barrett right now. You could talk to 60-year-old Matt right now. But I enjoy this. It's going to outlive us. I mean,
I just like working this microphone.
Yeah. It is cool. So, any parting words, advice, business, life, love?
No words of wisdom. I have none.
I don't have any either. Yeah. So. All right. Well, this has been an episode of the PropertyTales podcast. I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Barrett.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.